Hey, Braden, it's David Hood with TigerNet. Hey, are you guys as a group, are you excited about the talent that you have in this particular group and excited about the opportunity for this year for the tight ends to make more plays?
Yeah, I think with Coach E obviously coming over, he's the one who's calling the plays. So I do think we'll have a little bit more of an opportunity. But I think the best thing about our group is that it's a bunch of selfless guys. We want everybody to be successful. And if that's me making a play, Davis making a play, Jayla making a play, really we're just trying to do our job to the best of our ability. And when other people are succeeding, we're happy for them. And I think that's the biggest thing in our group.
Hey, Brandon, it's Trevor Groves from CUTigers.com. You look like you put on some good muscle in the offseason, particularly your lower body. Was that a big emphasis for you in the offseason? And what's your weight right now?
So I'm playing at like 247. I weighed in at like 247 this morning. And I was really just trying to get stronger overall. Obviously, there was an emphasis on my lower body. But I think just overall body strength was something I was really focused on during the offseason. And during this break that we had, in May, June, and July, obviously those are the biggest months. A lot of it is voluntary and just trying to focus on things that I know make me a better player.
Braden, this is Anna with Clemson 24/7. I think Tony was talking about how he wants you to become committed consistently to the run blocking. How do you feel like you developed in that aspect during camp?
I'm definitely growing. That's definitely still the weakness in my game. And I'm not naive enough to think that it's not. So it's something that I'm attacking every day. I'm trying to get better at. Thing, because it doesn't really matter how strong you are. If your technique's terrible, you're not going to really be able to move anybody or get your job done. And that's the biggest thing for me. Just the craft of it, and really just the art of how to strike, and just using effort throughout the play and finishing blocks and finishing plays.
Braden, this is Larry Williams with TigerIllustrated.com. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Just looking back to the scrimmage on Saturday, it sounds like the defense really controlled things. And I'm wondering, when you're going against a group that just returns just about everybody and is really sort of coming into their own, how hard is it to evaluate where you are as an offense as you guys are sort of developing and kind of finding yourselves?
I think you see the maturity grow through camp. But I think going against our defense is what makes us one of the best offenses in the country every year. It's very rare that you get to practice against what we get to practice against. So when they bring crazy blitzes, they bring crazy coverages and different formations and things like that, you're going to get to the first game and it's not going to be anything that we haven't seen. So they give us pretty much anything that any team can run in 15 games or throughout the course of the season. They give it to us in these 2.5 weeks in camp. And I mean, not a lot of schools have that. So I think from that perspective, I think that's how you have to look at it. But as far as judging where we are, I think a lot of it is just evaluating the individual person and not necessarily the whole offense. Obviously, all 11 guys have to be on the same page and doing their job that way. But like you said, I mean, when they're bringing different things and they're scheming the offense, and we're kind of just installing our offense, not necessarily scheming the defense back. It does get frustrating, but I think that frustration is what leads to the success that we have whenever the season comes.
Looking over at those guys, does it feel like they're going to be different from what they were the last couple of years, and maybe kind of the feel kind of like back in 18 when you had the dominance on the defensive line? Does it feel that way again to you, just sort of being around them?
I honestly think we had a great defense last year also, and 2019. So, but I do understand what you're saying with the defensive line. I think we had 7 or 8 guys that have started on the defensive line. So obviously they're a very veteran group. They bring it every day, and obviously, we're going against those guys. They're making us better. But there are a lot of similarities in the D-line between, obviously this team and the 2018 team, just as far as the veteran guys at DN, and obviously they're just super talented at D-tackle, and they're super deep. So I think that's probably the biggest, similar characteristic.
We'll take 1 or 2 more for Braden before we turn it over to Davis.
Hey, Braden, it's Anna again. The offensive line sounds like they're still trying to figure out, quote, like they've been talking about the best 5. So it sounds like they're kind of rotating different guys in and out of different positions. you knowing the offense and kind of obviously having a role in the run blocking, is there a way you can kind of help bring them along in that regard with your leadership?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the freshmen and the younger guys is just constantly giving them confidence, making calls, and then kind of explaining the calls once you make them. If they, some young guys, they might not know what a certain call that we make is, or that we have to be on the same page as far as communication goes. So I think that's one of the biggest things whenever I think a young lineman gets here and they don't realize all the calls and all the communication that has to happen between the guards, the centers, the tackles, and then obviously with us and the running back. So everybody has to be on the same page. And, as a young guy, I think a lot of guys are picking it up very fast. But they're learning the tempo and the game speed is just completely different, even in practice, like compared to like skills and drills and, even the spring. So it's just a lot different. It's a lot different mentality and a different mindset whenever you're getting out and you're going against Brian Brzee as a freshman and you're going against, Miles Murphy, KJX, all those guys. It's different than, especially when you're just coming from high school and those guys been here 3-4 years, veteran guys, know what they're doing, know the calls, know the blitzes. So I think, like you said, I think in the long run, that does nothing but make them better. But as far as the right now, I think it's just constantly giving them confidence because it's easy for them to get down on themselves when they're going against guys like that. And I think that's just probably the biggest thing is instilling that confidence in those young guys.
Hey, take one more for Braden.
Braden, did you get all the first team reps in the scrimmage on Saturday, or did Davis and Jay Lay and some other guys rotate into?
Me and Big Dave split them. Me and Big Dave, so it was I would go first sometimes. Davis would go first sometimes. We kind of just 4-4 depending on how the series went. So if it was a 3 and out, then obviously the next guy would start the next rack, and then we kind of just go through there. Like I said, I think a lot of it is just how selfless the tight ends specifically are. Obviously, I'm not in other position rooms, but everybody wants everybody to be happy, to be successful, to make plays. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. I'm happy when Davis makes a play. I'm happy when Jay Lay gets out there and makes a play. And I think, if we continue to do that, everything else will take care of itself.